Good evening and welcome back to SPANK'UM Chess. I'm doing a follow-up video on the bishop c4 sideline move in the Nimzowitsch defense. So as we can see is when your opponent plays bishop c4, what do, ladies and gentlemen? We go knight to f6, attacking the pawn on e4. And when your opponent plays knight to c3, what do? What did we mention in the last video, ladies and gentlemen? E6 shuts down a whole lot of the tricks and traps and takes them out of their comfort zone. Now, in this particular video, when your opponent plays a4, now in this position here, they're looking to preserve that bishop because they know that let's say that they've studied that you know that you're going to play the Nimzowitsch defense, and they're setting up for them to push the pawn back without any recourse. And remember the trap we had set up before. So in this particular instance, we continue with our same line, which is d5, attacking the pawn on e4 and the bishop at the same time. E captures d5, e captures d5, putting pressure on the bishop, and bishop to a2. He wants to keep that scope and preserve that light square bishop. The downside to that is we know what we're going to do in our campaign of attack will remain the same. Bishop to e7, preparing the castle on the king side, which I'm pretty sure your opponent knows this. d4. With that push there, that he's opening up his bishop's diagonal, his dark square bishop diagonal. And if you look, we can see that all of his bishops are lining up to the king side, and he has advanced the a4 pawn. He advanced the pawn from a2 to a4. So with that, we know that a bum rush could come quickly. That b4, c3, b4 will come very quickly, and they'll be bearing down on you. So with that, I go bishop to g4, knight g to e2. That lets you know in this move order that he's using, that they're going to be castling onto the king side. But now as you look, you can see the scope of his bishops. I castle on the king side, they castle on the king side. So now we can see the planning of the campaign or the attack will remain the same with black. I go rook f to e8. They have two options here. It's usually that they'll go with h3 or f3. Either way, they want to get that. They want to unpin the knight and get a nice attack going. What do? They go f3. Now that creates a nice little hole right here. Right there. Look, do you see that hole right there? The way I understand it, the way I explain it is that the dark square bishop is black's strong bishop. The light square bishop for white is their strong bishop. May not be relevant now, but it will be relevant later. Okay, I bring my bishop back. Knight to f4. Now remember, we always wanted to get our knight on f4, depending on the move order. And now you can see how disruptive that be. He has three pieces combining on the d5 square. And I only get protected with my knight and my queen. So that pawn may be gone. Now, I made a blunder move here. I go knight to b4. If you look, when you're looking at it, he has expanded on the queen side. He has a bishop on a2, which we're assuming that he will reroute to b1. That can be very, very, very difficult for black to play out of. So let's see. This is where I make my mistake. And I make a passive move as c6. The reason why I say this is a blunder move is because now my knight only has to really escape any pressure or whatnot. Only one square to go to. Only one square, and that is a6. And so as the game progresses, you'll see knight c to e2. So now you can see that he's going to start bolstering things, and that makes way. His knight on c3 was blocking his light square bishop. So he wanted to get that out of there so he can create these nice diagonals. The nice diagonals, the b1 f7 diagonal, and the c1 h6 diagonal. So it's the b1 h7 c1 h7 diagonal, which is great. Now if you look at it, his bishops have tremendous scope. Okay, Just keep going. It's going. And I go bishop to e6. And that's where the problem was lying right there in that particular move there. Because now he goes to c3, attacking my knight. I have my bishop hanging and my knight. They're both under duress. And this is the mistake that I make. Bishop to g6. Now, as you can see, the evaluation bar has dropped all the way down. The white has a superior advantage. A superior advantage at this point. I slipped up on it. I wanted to bring this to our attention so that we begin to understand how we can eventually continue to play for equality and ultimately win the game. Knight captures d6. H captures g6. And so now I'm down a piece. Right now at this moment I'm down a piece because C captures b4. Bishop captures b4. His bishops have tremendous scope on aiming down my king side. And you can see he can have the h3 g4 push, and it's just going to be all bad. Let's see how the game progresses. Now he goes bishop to d2. Now he's aiming to trade out. Now the downside to what his planning is that he has these pawns here that are not connected. He has a pawn on d4, and these is two pawns here that will be connected. But I have a superior pawn chain. So basically you can look at it as 4 against 2. And this pawn on d4 can come under attack later in the game. So I avoid the exchange. But he wants to continue to go with the exchange. And I'm going to play to get out of that. So now, boom, right there. Rook captures e2. So now it's going to be 2 for 1. The correct move in this situation is bishop captures. However, he doesn't do that. He chose to go for the rook. And as you can see, there's the equality there. But that is what I was hoping he could do. I said, let me capture this knight. So I'll just go for 2 for 1. I couldn't think all the way down to the end. It's easy for me to bring these things to your attention after evaluation. But at the time of the game, that is what my intention was. Hey, I'll just trade out 2 for 1 and then go from there. Because as you can see also, even though he has his bishops in there and it may have some good scope, his rooks are not connected. His rooks are not connected. Okay? So now bishop captures f4. And now he goes rook to e2. He may be thinking of eyeing down to e7 and trying to go for a trade and win out and have a nice attack at the back of the pawn chain. The best way to attack a pawn chain is at the start of it, at the base. Let's see here. So now I go queen to b6, attacking the pawn, that loose pawn on d4. Attacking the loose pawn on d4. So he may not want me to get it. There's a lot of things, and it comes with a check. So now he brings rook to d1. Now, as you look at the evaluation bar, now I have a slight advantage. And you can see what attacking lines can happen. Now I get an attack on the queen and pressure on another pawn, the pawn on b2, which is a crucial pawn that he needs to be there. His pawns will be scattered all over the place. Queen to c2. Now, that's protecting the pawn on b2 and also is creating scope. He can create certain positional advantages by kicking my bishop out of there with g3 and continuing a queenside attack. So now, I go queen to b4. Now, as you look by the arrow there, I have a nice little attack brewing. Nice little attack brewing. That rook coming down can lead to a checkmate, and that's what I was aiming for. But, however, that's the bait. So you can set up certain tactics and get your opponent to miss things. When you're applying pressure and attacking pieces, they're looking to defend. Queen, now all he wants to do is trade out. But as you look at the evaluation bar on the left side of the board, it continually goes in my favor. When you're constantly looking to trade out pieces and you're chasing pieces around, you're losing momentum. You're losing initiative. Queen to d6. Now I'm attacking the pawn on h2, a crucial pawn. Okay? Now, when he goes h3, that leaves a lot of holes, as you can see by the red squares. Those are holes that are in his defense. Okay? bishop to e3 check. So now he has to move his king somewhere, and he can only go on the red squares, and I'm just going to continue to compile an attack. King to h1. And now I could get my queen to g3 and looking to put my bishop onto f4 and go for the checkmate. Again. All he's thinking about is trading out and going into the end game. That will not work. See, boom. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We're not worried about that. But now I grabbed the pawn on d4. Now he needs to be very careful in this situation, because if he chooses to capture the bishop, rook to e1, and he's going to lose the queen. So he brings rook to a2. The problem with where he put his bishop is that his rooks weren't connected. Rooks like open lanes, open files. Knight to h5. Still keep maintaining the threat of rook to e1. Now, so he's bolstering it up. He wants to protect the g2 square, the g2 pawn. However, now let's see. Queen to f4, and you can see the potential. The fork is looming. The fork is looming. And again, as you look at the evaluation bar on the left side of the board, it went from when it just made a nice reverse in about 6 moves. Made a nice reversal. 1 minute I'm down in with advantage. I'm at a disadvantage, and now I'm ahead. Queen to d3, attacking the bishop, and now there's a mate in 3. Look at the reversal. Look at the reversal. This is a lesson in not playing passive. I played passive and it cost me. But when I turn my attention to attacking, look at the reversal. There's a mate in 3. 1, boom, check. Check, double discover check, and mate. Now the reason this is a very good learning situation. When you play passive, you're going to get your ass kicked. Play aggressive and attack, you turn the tides on your opponent, and you could come out with the victory. So leave it in the comments, other things that you may feel that I could have done to improve the game. And I'll see you next time. Peace.